Hi everyone, I would like to share with you one of the new kits from the Stampin' Up! Kits collection. This one is called Christmas Ornaments Kits. So with this one you get enough supplies to make 9 ornaments, so there's 3 each of 3 different designs. Of course with the kit you do get instructions. They're not full written instructions, but the diagrams in these kits are really quite simple to follow. So it tells you where you need to use glue dots, it tells you where you need to use some dimensionals. Now the only extra thing or 2 things you're going to need for this this kit is a pair of scissors and also a hot glue gun. So just a pair of paper snips, any scissors will do, as just to cut the gold thread. And as mentioned, hot glue gun. Not many of the kits require a hot glue gun. This one I've had for many years. It has seen better days. It's all a bit sort of glued up and gooped up. If you don't have a hot glue gun, these are readily available in places like Spotlight or some of those discount stores that sell craft supplies. So I haven't plugged this in yet. They only take just a couple of minutes to heat up to be able to use. Okay, so let me share with you the stuff you get in the kit. Obviously you get the instruction sheet, which does have a picture of the finished project. I have made one of these ahead of time. I actually made this the other day because I just wanted to have a go. So these are really lovely. They do have on the back here just this white center. If you want to use this as your little card on a gift bag or on a gift, you can write your message on the back. So if you're interested in stamping a to or from or a Merry Christmas, I do recommend that that is all done before this is stuck together. And what I use the hot glue gun for is to stick the bow and the little pine cones onto this ornament. I'm hoping I'm actually staying within where my camera is. Okay, let me share with you some of the products. Now, I have pulled this kit apart and I have got out all the products that I need for each of these ornaments, simply to save a little bit of time and to feel a little bit more organized. I actually haven't made these ones yet. So you'll get 3 each of these, and these are the ones you fold in half and they create the base of the ornament. So there's a couple of different ones for the base. Plus you get these are the die cuts. You just need to gently press them out. You get all of the paper products that you need. And most of these are going to be mounted onto the ornament using dimensionals. So that is the paper product. You also get the gold metal rings. You get 3 small and 6 of the large, just to allow for the couple of different sizes. You get some really nice gold thread, which is what we hang the ornament with. You get a sheet of dimensionals and a sheet of glue dots. You also get a package of pine cones. So these are plastic. They are small and large, plus you also get the gold and the red berries. And finally, you get some bows. Now, as I mentioned, I've taken bows out of the packet already, so when there's full, there's about 6 bows in there, I think, maybe 7. So that is what you get with your products. I'm just going to pop this aside because I have actually got the products out of the kit that I need to be able to make these. So I'm going to start with the smallest one, which is, oops, before it falls off the table, which is this one here. So in my little instruction sheet, let me open it out to share this with you. It does tell me the products that I need. So let me move that to the side. So I do have, just get rid of my bag. I have my smaller ring. Well, let me just untangle these bits. I also have the cardstock base for my ornament. Again, there is that white section on the back that you can write on or stamp on. I've also got my 2 pieces of greenery, so there's some leaves and sprigs. I've also got 2 of the small pine cones and 1 of the bows. So once this is together, it is going to look like that one. So let's see how we go. I have cut a piece of thread ahead of time, and again it does tell you the length that you need, and it's 45 centimeters. So make sure you've got your ruler handy, or if you've got a ruler on your glass mat or the paper underneath you can certainly use that. So to begin with, you're going to fold your thread in half and then loop it around just to attach. Oops, if I can get my fingers to work properly. Let me try that again. Okay, so you've got your loop. Pass your thread through the loop, and then that will secure that at the bottom. And that should have been so much easier to do than what it actually was. Okay, so I have secured that. Next, I'm going to actually put a glue dot. Where's my little glue dots? Oh, I need those. So I'm going to just pop a glue dot at the very top there. It is a little big, as you can see. I'm just going to fold that around just ever so slightly. The paper will come off. And then I'm going to wrap 1 thread around the back and 1 over the front. So they're going to sort of loop over a little bit. And then I'm going to tie this just in a little knot at the top. So it can be a little bit fiddly to actually get this bit to tie on. But I am going to do that in a double knot just to make sure that that is nice and secure. My fingers aren't working very, very well. Okay, so there I have got, just smooch that together a little bit, tie that a bit tighter. And then I'm going to finally tie the top bit. Now that looked more awkward than what it ever should be. Normally with these sorts of things I sit them on the table and do them, but for some reason with this video I decided to actually hold it in the air. So that's, if you can have it sitting on the bench or the table, definitely do that. Okay, so that is part of, or the first part. The next part is my double circle that is folded in half, and this is going to go underneath, so that thread is going to be sandwiched in the middle, and I am going to be using some dimensionals for this bit. And I'm just going to try and center that as much as I can, and I'm also going to be putting a dimensional over the top there. And I've actually cut, obviously when I did the last ones, I've cut a couple of these dimensionals up as well. So that will help that hold nice and securely. So next I'm going to be taking the backings off. And you know, the only tools I brought over here were the scissors and the hot glue gun. Normally I would be using the take your pick tool to get the backs off these dimensionals, but they're all over on the other side of the table. Okay, so fold that over, and that is held securely in place, as I mentioned, on the back. Okay, so just going to press that together fairly firmly. I want those to stick really quite well. So my next bit, I am actually going to be using, let me see, I'm going to use some dimensionals, I think. So I'm going to be putting, let's see if I can pick it up, this one on first. So there are the 2 that go on. So the first one is going to go on around about there like that. Okay, and I am going to use, well, it's just saying dimensionals. I think I'll use dimensionals too. So I'm going to just put some there, and where are my scissors? And I'm going to cut a few more pieces dimensional up just to make them all a bit smaller. And I'm going to put one about there. So as you can see, there's just the two on there. Peel the backs up. And then this, I've actually probably stuck it on the wrong way, but you know what? We're just going to go with it. There is that one. And then this one is going to sit over the top. And I'm going to put a piece of dimensional underneath there where it's going to be hidden quite nicely. All right, so the back comes off that one. And then I'm going to go with it around about there. So where it lands with what you're doing, it is going to work. Let me plug in the hot glue gun for the next bit, which I probably should have done this just a couple of minutes ago, but that's okay. We can live dangerously. So with my bow, this one I did just a little bit off center, but for my bow, I think I'm going to actually have that going the right way. So my two little pine cones are going to go there, and then my ribbon's going to go above it. So let's see how this goes. I'll just give hot glue gun just a moment to warm up, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay, I forgot I was doing a video, so I was actually able to hit pause while this all heated up. So a little bit of the hot glue onto one of the pine cones. Now you can use other adhesive, but hot glue gun is probably the best one to use because it dries within seconds. So I've got my two pine cones, and now my bow, and that is stuck and secure, and it's a little bit skew whiff off to the side, but it actually kind of matches the other one. Once they're hanging though, they are really quite a lovely little ornament to be able to use. Now the only thing with hot glue gun, you do run the risk of course of burning your hands, fingers. Anyone who's done craft with hot glue knows that that is a risk that you take. Okay, that is the small one. Now I haven't made the other one, so I'm just going to pop these aside and we're going to live a bit dangerously and see what the next one brings. So I actually haven't made this next one, but I have got my instructions. So let me grab out what we need. So for this one, it is one of the bigger ones. Get rid of my little bag. So I have got here my larger gold ring. I've got my banner. Again, with the piece that goes over the thread, you've got the white bit there that you can write on. Plus I've got my sprigs and also leaves. And on this one, we've got one large pine cone, two small, and also we've got the little berries as well, which will be stuck on with the hot glue. So I'm just going to pop those to the side there just for a moment. And I need to grab the gold thread, and I do have my ruler on my glass mat, so I'm going to measure off, there's 45 centimeters. And I'm actually going to cut the next one as well. So this is ready to go for the next ornament. So there is my gold thread as well. So as I did before, I'm hoping it's not going to look quite so awkward this time. Folding the thread in half to make your loop, looping that underneath, and then the two ends come through and that gets pulled tight there. Okay, so that was so much less awkward than first time. So with this one, I'm going to thread one underneath the ring and the other over the top. And I'm going to loop them around. There we go. So much less awkward than last time. And I am going to tie a double knot. And I'm just going to slide that around there, and that's going to go around about there. You can do a single knot if you want to, but the double is just going to hold that really nice and securely. And then of course, run the thread through your fingers up to the top so that you can then complete your little loop. So that works so much better than the first time, so do it that way. Okay, so next I do have my circle piece, the double circle, to fold in half, and exactly the same as before, I'm going to be putting some dimensionals on this. So I am going to also, just making sure that I've got this roughly centered, I'm going to put a couple of pieces of dimensional, and these are the bigger pieces, so the full pieces, over the top of that thread just to hold that nicely in place. And I do have a few of these pieces that I cut in half earlier. Now when I paused my video before, I actually went and grabbed another pair of scissors to cut the sticky stuff. Maybe, I don't know, one more about there. And the take your pick tool, because why not? It's a great tool to use. And so I'm just going to stab each of those and flick those papers off. Oops, there we go. And last one. And this is as simple as just closing it over and pressing it well together to make sure that that has all stuck. Okay, next I've got my banner to put on, which is going to go, let me just line this up, across probably like that. So it's on a little bit of an angle, and I am going to use some of these little glue dots because these are fabulous to use. And having the take your pick tool as well to put these on makes it really easy to pick them up. And I'm just again going to use the tool just to pick up those little papers. Now these glue dots are just a touch bigger than what you'd normally get in the kits, but there's good reason for that, simply because of what we are sticking on. So that is going to go around about there. Okay, so far so good. So next we have got our piece here of the sprigs. I'm not sure what you call those, so I'm going to call them sprigs. This is going to go on with a dimensional, and it's kind of going to go like that just over the top. So I'm going to put a piece of dimensional just in the middle here, and I wonder, I think I'll just use a half piece. So I think the full size dimensionals are just a little bit too big. So it's going to go around about, I'm going to go around about there. And then I've also got my leaves, which are going to go, I think, maybe that way. I'm going to go around about there. And that's also going to be put on with some dimensionals too. Okay, so very quickly pull the covers off. And around about there. So with this, some of it is, and oh, I'm sorry, I've actually pushed that nearly all the way to the top of my mat, and you probably haven't seen too much of that, so I do apologize. So there you have that first bit. Next, I have got my little pine cones to put on. So there's going to be 3 there and then the berries in the middle. Let's see how this bit goes. This could be interesting, but we'll see. So hot glue. So one about there. More hot glue one is going to go around about there. Let's get some berries on, which are going to tuck in just a little bit there. Just going to hold those just in place just slightly until that glue dries. There we go. And then finally, my last one, which I'm going to put in around about there. I quite like that. So there is that one. Second time around, I think when you make things a second time around, you kind of do them a little bit differently. So the next one I might actually position a little differently, but oops, let me just grab those bits. But that is number 2. It's quite a cute one as well. Yeah, next time I might position it slightly differently, but I do like that one. So they are really quite pretty. Okay, so bear with me. We got number 3 to go. So my hot glue gun is still on the side, and with the glass mat, if you don't have a glass mat, I do recommend a silicone mat underneath your hot glue gun. That way then you can just peel up the glue that oozes out. Okay, number 3, hopefully. I'm going to try and do much better with this one and stay within the camera, because I normally do most of my Facebook lives and things in portrait because Facebook doesn't let me do it in landscape. So this one is a little interesting, but I am going to watch this one back and I may end up redoing it if I'm not particularly happy. So number 3, we've got, again, gold ring. We've got a couple of pine cones, plus we've also got the gold berries, which are really cute. We've got the double circle that folds in half. Again, you've got your white section to write on. We've got leaves and the sprig die cuts. And this one has also got a red bow and gold thread. So again, with the gold thread, I'm going to do that the same as I did the last 2. I think the last one was better because it didn't look so awkward. So my recommendation is have your rings sitting on the ground or sitting on the table. I shouldn't say ground, your table. Okay. Again, I'm putting one underneath and one on the top, and just loop those around. So there is 1, there is 2, and I'm going to pull those nice and tight and tie, there we go, tie a double knot just there to make sure that is nicely secured. And finally, I'm going to just do one little knot at the top just to create that little hanger. Now, if you're not sure how you're going to be using your ornaments, whether you're going to be putting them on the tree or using them as a gift tag, you might want to just not do this knot at the top, just to allow you a bit more flexibility with how you use it. Okay, so my first step, as before, I am going to be, oops, do it the other way. I'm going to be using some dimensionals to stick the double circle onto the middle. So I'm going to line this up and use one of my lines there. And again, a few dimensionals just to try and line it up and help it stick. There's 1, there is 2, and I've also got a couple of smaller pieces as well that I cut up earlier that I'm going to use. Might cut up a few more. There we go. And that way then you're using sort of the same amount of dimensionals, but just spreading them out a little bit more. I think that makes sense. Okay, so press all those down really well. Grab the take your pick tool so that you can stab into the papers and flick those up. I think I'm doing a little better with where I've got everything sitting at the moment. Like I said, I will re-watch this video and I may actually redo it all again just to be able to keep it within where you can see, basically. Okay, so that is the first step. I do have next, I've got my sprigs that I'm going to be putting on, and they are going to go off to the side. And then I have my leaves that are going to be going over the top. So I am going to be using, I'm actually going to use some glue dots under this. I'm going to grab a couple of glue dots. I am going to overlap these glue dots just ever so slightly. And the take your pick tool does make it really easy to get those little papers off. Okay, so this is going to go on around about there. I'm quite happy with that. Next, I've got my leaves, which are going to go around about there. And I am going to use a couple of dimensionals for that one. So I've got a couple on there. Take your pick tool to pick up those, and oops, we need to go that way. They're going to go on around about there. Okay, next, hot glue gun. Once you get going with these, they're actually quite quick to make, which is really quite nice. So I've got quite a bit of glue happening on my mat. So I'm going to get the large one first, get some glue onto there, and that is going to be sitting around about there. I think most people who do craft have had fun with glue guns. That one is going to go off to the side around about there. And I think we've all had burns from them, which is never a lot of fun, but it just sometimes you just end up with a few burns. And another bit of the hot glue, and then I'm sliding those little gold berries underneath. So one thing I just want to share with you about these little berries, I don't know if you noticed it before, so I'm going to grab one out. It's actually got a loop of wire just here. When I put my berries on, the gold berries, I actually covered nearly the entire loop with the hot glue, and that way it just slid in and has stuck in there really quite nicely. Okay, and finally, if I don't make too much mess, oh, I've got glue everywhere, I have got my bow that I'm going to use a dollop of glue on, and this is actually going to sit at the top. So you will have your little, almost like little spider webs from the hot glue gun that will be, I'm just going to turn this off now because I don't need it on anymore. I'll sit that up to the side. But all of that bit of the stretchy bit of glue, when it's dry, you can just pull that off. It's really quite easy to get rid of. So let me show you all three now that they're done. So there is the two large. Move that across a little, and the small. There we go, that's a bit better. So there you have 3 different ornaments. So there's a total of 9, and these are going to be so cute to put on gifts or even put on your Christmas tree. They're very traditional colours, so they're going to appeal to a wide audience. For the order information for this, I have attached it in the description for this video, so please take a look at that. And of course, if you have any questions at all about this, beautiful Christmas kit and it's the perfect timing to be doing your getting organized for Christmas, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed seeing these ornaments being made.